All right, so I want to welcome you all to our webinar, Making Sense of Online Marketing for Transportation Services. So thanks again for joining us today. As I'm sure so many of you already know, online marketing is such a big opportunity for you to get the word out about your transportation services. Whether you own a trucking company, a livery service, or even a shipping and logistics firm, the fact is that people are looking for businesses like yours all the time. Stats show that 97% of people will learn more about a company online than anywhere else. And 92% of people searching on the internet will pick a business that is listed on the first page of those search results. All of that means there's real potential for you to do more business when you can get found online. Now, if you're just getting started with online marketing, you may have become overwhelmed with too many tools. And of course, there's a lot of expert advice out there. There's a lot of marketing myths we hear all of the time, and a lot of them, unfortunately, are wrong. Now, if you're already doing online marketing, you might have found it frustrating to find that it's not as easy as many claim it to be, and you're not really sure what the next step is. Today's webinar is not a deep dive into any of the channels we're going to talk about today. It's not designed to be that. It is designed to help you to understand the fundamentals, the tools that we suggest that you have in your strategy in order to be successful online. We want to help you to navigate and understand the world of online marketing, and this is a good place to start. With all of that in mind, let's see more specifically what we're going to talk about in today's webinar. We're going to start by talking about how people find you online, and we'll talk about a couple of different ways. Then we're going to talk about how to set yourself up for success, and that's where we're going to talk about 5 foundational tools that you'll want to have in your arsenal. And last but not least, we'll talk about how it all comes together, and this is where we'll give you some action items to take as you leave the webinar today. With that in mind, I just want to put a face to a name here, and my name is Stephanie French, and I'm the content manager of webinars here at Constant Contact. And I'm very excited to introduce our guest expert for today, Arthur Rouse. He's the owner of Digital Marketers Chicago. It's a boutique full-service digital marketing agency with clients throughout the US. And he's been immersed in digital marketing for well over a decade, which means he has a ton of expertise, and he helps clients in the transportation industry. And I was talking to him earlier, and I know he has lots of other experience in industries as well. He helps them improve their websites, increase website traffic, grow their leads and revenue through proven search engine optimization and content marketing strategies. So thanks for joining us today, Arthur.
Thanks, Stephanie. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here with you today, and hopefully we can provide some very useful information on how to be more easily found online.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Let's start by talking about how people are finding your business online. Now, I think a good place to start with understanding all of this is that it's important to understand some of the different ways that people will find you online. Now, many business owners in this industry actually tell us that their new clients typically come from word of mouth. That happens online in today's world. They consume and they share content online that they find useful or entertaining in some way or another. They leave reviews, both positive and negative, and then they'll also go out there online in different avenues, and they'll ask questions about the experiences that people have had. The thing is, being online and paying attention really allows you to monitor and actually be a part of those conversations, helping you to put your best foot forward. Now, after someone learns about your business, many of them are likely to go out and do a search for you online. They want to simply see what others are saying, and they want to get more details about your services. And it helps to understand what really comes up in those search results. So let's look at this business example, and let's say they'll search by your business name. Arthur, could you walk us through what on earth we're seeing here and help us make sense of it all and what we're seeing on this search results page?
Of course. When you Google something, generally what will come up in the search results are first paid ads, especially if it's a really competitive term. So these companies' websites are paying to appear on page 1 or 2 of Google. Next, if you're Googling a specific business, especially, you'll see a Google My Business listing on the right-hand side, which shows the name of the business, the map, their hours, And then below that are organic results. Organic results are websites that are not paying to run ads, that are ranking naturally in the search engines. And we can talk about how the websites are ranking organically a little bit further in the webinar. But those are the three things that generally appear.
Yeah, great to know. This is one place where your website will show up, and maybe some of those other things will look like review sites, social media pages and things like that. Now, on the other hand, there's going to be people out there who are unfamiliar with your business, so they're going to run a different search. In this case, they're likely to use a phrase or keywords based on what exactly they're looking for. Arthur, could you walk us through some of the things that show up in a search result like this if we search by freight services near me?
Sure. If you Google general terms, especially if they include the words near me, Google wants you to find what you're looking for. So if Google assumes that you're searching for a business nearby, it's going to show you Google map listing with businesses listed near you. So there also can be some ads at the top, but generally, if you're Googling anything near me or FedEx near me, you're going to see a listing with Google Maps. And those Google Map listings are actually tied to your Google business account, which we'll talk about shortly.
Yeah, that Google My Business listing is so important in so many different ways. It looks a little bit different here. In the previous search result, we saw how much it took up, how much real estate it took up on the right-hand side of the screen there. So definitely a valuable tool for any business. So at this point, you've got a good foundation of what people are finding online about you. The thing is, you want to make sure that your business gets found in both of those scenarios. If they're searching by your business name, or if they're searching by a more generic term or phrase, like the services that you offer. That way, you're going to maximize the chances of people finding you. Now, I also want you to keep in mind that people are eventually going to click through from those search results. You want to, one, make sure you can be found, but also that the information they are finding there about you is going to be accurate. Plus, they're going to have some questions they want to know about. Do you offer the type of service they want? Is your staff experienced? Are you going to provide great customer service? And all of that kind of leads to the fact that anything they find online about you means that they're going to start forming opinions about your business, and you want it to be good. If you appear present, engaging, and provide helpful information and resources along the way in the things we're going to talk about next, you're going to increase the chances of people actually choosing your business and doing business with you. That is a great segue into our next section here. Well, we'll talk about how to set yourself up for success. And we're going to talk about some of those tools that one link to those search results, and then some others that kind of help to tie things together. So here I would like to launch a poll. We just want to see where the audience is at today. Perfect. So you should now be seeing the poll on your screen. The question is, what marketing activities are you already doing for your business? And we'd really love you to choose all that apply. So maybe you have a website set up. Maybe you use listings and review sites. If you use Google SEO strategies already and content to bring people back to your website. Maybe you use social media to engage your current and potential customers. And if it's applicable to your particular type of business, we'd love to know if you're letting clients book online. All right, so we've got just a few people who voted. We'll give everyone just a couple of minutes to put in their votes. Again, this is to really just kind of help us see where you're at today. And what I do want to mention with the tools we're going to talk about next, even if you have something like a website set up, Arthur's got so much knowledge in this industry that he can provide some great tips. So even if you've got something set up, he's going to provide some things that you may want to keep in mind and make modifications to any of these things. All right, so we've got 63% voted for so far. We'll just give it another couple of seconds. So far, Arthur, I see that 100% of the people who voted have a website. 30% are using listings and reviews. 36% are utilizing Google SEO strategies and content. 64% are using social media. All right, so I'm going to close this. Thank you everyone for sharing your answers. And let's look at the results. So in the end, it turns out that 91% of people said they had a website, 36 are using listings and reviews, 36% are using Google SEO strategies and content, 64% are using social media, and then 18% let clients book online. Is there anything that maybe stands out to you or kind of shocks you based off of those results?
I think it's great that 91% have a website set up. Some businesses, small and large, sometimes don't have the website set up. I'd like to see more people managing listing and review sites, even if it's just Google reviews. That's so important to ask every customer for a review and to be managing reviews. Again, not necessarily on all of them, but at least Google reviews.
Awesome. Well, the good news is that these are all things that we're going to talk about here next. So let me hide that. And so here are the 5 tools. Really, most of them were all in that poll there anyway. But one, you want to make sure your business has a mobile responsive website. You want to use an email marketing tool that really helps you to get where people are, in their inbox. Primary social media channel that you're actively using. Up-to-date business listings. When we talk about listings or business listings, that's what Arthur was calling listings and reviews. I tend to use that term interchangeably as well. And then number 5 is an easy way to create content. So let's talk about each of these, but first step is the website. Now the website is really the center of all your online marketing activities. It's a hub that you want to point people to in order to get new clients to book a service with you. Plus, this is really a place that you own versus just saying you're on social media. That's a common misconception I hear. And the other thing is that it needs to function well. This is probably one of the most important tips or starting points, is to make sure that no matter where they're viewing it from, a desktop computer that has a wider screen versus a mobile phone that has a smaller screen, it should be mobile responsive. And you'll see on the screen here how the mobile version actually gets a little bit more skinnier and adjusts accordingly. You don't want people to have to scroll left and right on your website. That is definitely not a good experience. Now, what are some other important tips to make sure that you're setting your website up for success?
So at a bare minimum, obviously you have the home page, about page, services, and contact page. On the about page, put some effort into that. Tell your story, because a lot of people look at that. Have pictures of your team members. Really try to differentiate what you do and why you do it better than your competitors. Obviously outline the services in detail that you provide. Contact page, you obviously need that so people can contact you, but if you want to go above and beyond, I would have an FAQ page that really lends credibility to your business and your brand. It shows people that, okay, not only are you a great business, but you're already answering some of the questions they would ask. Also, obviously, a blog, because that's one place where you can write content that's going to rank you naturally in the search results. Also, whether it's on the home page or whether you create a separate section for it, definitely have a testimonials page. Some people will Google your business directly to see how many reviews you have on your Google business listing, but it really stands out, and especially in 2020, 2021, you really want some testimonials from as many customers as you can, just telling about the great job you did, because it'll make people less hesitant to contact you and book your services.
Awesome, great to hear. And I love the point about the content because that starts to kind of tie everything together. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So some really great tips there. Thank you. Now, another thing that I want to mention is that we recommend adding a sign-up form to your website. This gives you the ability to reach visitors who maybe visit your website and then don't book a service with you or give you a call or whatever the case may be. That's because once you have someone's email address, you're going to be able to start to reach out on a consistent basis to get promotions in front of them and start to build a relationship that makes them want to do business with you. That really leads us into this next tool, which is email marketing. Let's talk a little bit more about that in the overall strategy. Email, I think I mentioned it before, but email is really how you can reach people directly in their inbox. And the great news is you don't have to fight the algorithms that limit your reach on social media. There's a misconception that I hear from people all the time is, email is going out of style, I'm not going to use it. Social media is for that. Social media is actually something that is limiting your reach, and you don't have full control over it because of that. And let's say Facebook just shuts down one day. So, Arthur, could you walk us through some of the types of emails that are going to be important for this industry?
Of course, definitely. And I'm assuming you have an email sign up on your website. If you don't, put one there, but definitely have a welcome email. It's really important that you send that once somebody took the time to sign up for your newsletter. So it's important you acknowledge that, and also as a confirmation to the person who signed up that they did sign up. Then you'll want to send relatively consistent emails, generally at least once a month, just so you stay relevant. Include a combination of promotional and educational information. Don't make it 100% promotional every email, just because that'll cause people to unsubscribe. You can put a promotion in every newsletter, but it should also be more so than not, you should have more informational things in your newsletter that'll be interesting to people. But don't make it all promotions 100% of the time.
I have to second that probably 1,000 times because I've seen way too many businesses just promotion after promotion after promotion. And that just gets old and it bogs down my email inbox and it's not great. Now, I noticed earlier looking at the registration form that Diana filled out for us, she is looking for some advice on automation. Do you have some specific examples of automation beyond the welcome email for this industry?
So automation, you want to generally, if you're just starting out, set up a good template and work from there. But automation, it depends on who your customers are, but I always say at least once a month. There are automation tools that can help you with content calendars and things like that. So the more organized you are, then it's not a struggle, every 3 weeks to come up with content for the newsletter. So there are some automation tools out there that will help, but I feel like the newsletters all should be personalized. If it's fall, make note that it's fall. Make it, but if you create the template, it's easy to switch some things around to change out the theme or to obviously change out the content.
Definitely. And I would just add to that, if you are wanting to learn more about your audience, like in Constant Contact, you can use what's called click segmentation, where maybe if you want to learn about who's interested in a particular service or you're launching a new service, if someone clicks on that link that they're interested in there, and then you can use automation tools to follow up on that, provide them more information, let's say about that particular service or topic. There's so many different ways that you could incorporate automation as
So
well.
segmentation was a really interesting point. When people sign up for your newsletter, and again, depending on your business, it'd be helpful to have a box that said, why did you sign up, and have different selections they can check, because then you can send segmented newsletters to your audience. So if one segment of your audience signed up to get more information about topic A, you really, and this is more advanced, but you really want to cater your newsletters to what people signed up for. So start with a general one, but once you get enough subscribers and when people sign up, you should be sending them newsletters specific to what they want to get more information about.
And people ask me all the time with their email marketing is how do I get the best results or improve my results? Segmentation and sending relevant information is one of the most important factors or things that you can do to improve those results. So let's move on to the next tool, which is actually social media. Social media is just another way that people will find you, and it also gives you that ability to interact with them. Now, what social media channels actually work best for the transportation industry?
So I would start with Facebook and Instagram because everybody is on Facebook. A lot of people look at travel, transportation, when they're looking at destinations as well. So I would start with those, but the idea is to generally pick one platform if you're not doing social media and run with it. Don't try to get on every platform and try to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. So start with one, get proficient at it, and it depends on the business. For some businesses, industries, LinkedIn might be good, but I think generally speaking, for transportation, Facebook, and I say Instagram because a picture's like 1,000 words. So, and a lot of, especially, well, not so much younger. I guess I'm old, but a lot of younger people are on Instagram all the time. I mean, you look at people's phones, they're either on Facebook, Instagram, sometimes YouTube. So if you're in a business where you can create really visual, cool looking images, definitely get on Instagram.
I would have to second that, on the Facebook and Instagram thing, and I love a lot of people in the world are just very visual, and I think Instagram, especially when you incorporate those images and videos, even behind the scenes information, it really starts to help people get to know you, kind of build that trust, and more likely want to do business with you in the future. Now, an area that I see people typically struggle with is what on earth should I post? Or maybe I'm already posting information on social media, but I don't feel like it's getting the best results. So what we suggest is think about it into 3 buckets. Create posts that drive awareness, drive action, and then also pay attention to things like customer service if people have questions or even complaints. Now, what are some other specific things that you think our audience should be posting on social media?
So anything visual is great. I know the slide has visuals in all of those. So again, a picture is worth 1,000 words. A video can be worth a million. I really like polls for engagement, or even just asking questions, because one, it gets you more customer feedback. Maybe it's a question you have about what do I need to do with my business to just and polls also, people see when their friends answer questions or comment on things. So if you ask a poll, people like answering the question, but not only that, a lot of their connections, their network is going to see that they answered the question. So it's an easy way to make your business show up. And also, if you just have general questions for your customers about things to do to improve your business, most people are happy to help answer. And or what's most important to you about this? And people will answer the question, and it helps your business because you're getting direct feedback from your customers.
Those are all great examples. And I think another thing to point out here on these examples on the screen is that you'll notice that each of these posts actually link back to the website. So if you're linking back to a piece of content or trying to, make them more aware of the type of services or transportation services that you're offering, that's a great way that these things, again, they start to tie together and actually work together in the end for you. So let's move on to listings and reviews as part of your online marketing strategies. Now, the thing is, people really want social proof that one, you provide a great service. Plus, having listings and review sites just gives you a little bit more visibility in those search engine results. Because if you have, let's say, a Google My Business, again, that pulls in reviews. Yelp, it could just be another option that someone might see if they type in your business name and they want to learn what kind of reviews you have. So what kind of listings and review sites should our audience set up a profile on?
So generally, the main ones are Google, Facebook, and Yelp. Google is by far the most important. Yelp, some businesses do, some don't. I've seen some businesses have great success with Yelp. The benefit of Yelp is it's almost like its own search engine. A lot of people go there to search services that their service providers they're looking for. Sometimes, though, then you'll start to get a lot of emails and calls from Yelp, encouraging you to pay for their ads and stuff. But Generally Google, Facebook, and Yelp, but Google the most important. Also, there may be review sites specific to your industry. Like in mine, there's Clutch. There's several other different ones that are relatively maybe not new, but not traditional. Like they probably weren't around 5 or 8 years ago. So if they're one specific to your industry, definitely sign up for those.
Great information. Now, what are some key pieces or tips that you think our audience should think about, maybe not just setting them up, but also using these sites over time for your benefit?
So one, always ask every customer for a review, even if that may mean providing a small discount to get one. So sometimes you want to get as many reviews as you can because a lot of people, if they know the name of your business, you'll Google it, they'll Google it, or even if it just comes up in the search results, one of the first things people look for is how many reviews a company has. And they also read those reviews. So you obviously want them to be legitimate reviews. So it's like money in the bank earning interest. Get the reviews. And if on the off chance that hopefully, you know, in the off chance that you get a negative review, your rating's going to go down a lot more if you only have 8 reviews than if you had 58 reviews. And things happen. Sometimes it's the business's fault. Sometimes it's not at all the business's fault. And sometimes just random people, for whatever reason, like profiles and people that don't exist, will leave a bad review, and you have no idea where it came from. You've never done business with this person. So if you have 190 reviews, it's not going to affect your rating that much. But if you have 5 reviews, then it will. And everybody's got to start somewhere. Maybe that means giving people a business card with a discount. However you do it, definitely ask for the review, and don't do it 6 months after they've used your service. They may not remember you. They may not remember the positive experience that they had with you. Secondly, always respond to every review. Most are hopefully going to be positive, but whether it's positive or negative, always respond. And I'm talking mainly, most people are going to respond to a negative comment, but even the positive ones, because I can't express enough how many people actually go in and read all these reviews. And if you're responding to everyone, it gives the person who left you the review acknowledgement and thanks, thanks so much. It was a pleasure, working with you or doing business with you, but also um, it just shows that you're a very responsive business, that you're not just not responding when people are leaving you, comments, good or bad. So if there are issues, if people do leave you a negative review, obviously do your best to try to fix the issue. If it's not the business's fault at all, that can happen sometimes too. But especially if it is, try to fix the issue first and foremost. And then secondly, try to do what you can within reason to get them to remove the negative review, because it's a lot easier to try to do that than to try to. It takes a lot of positive reviews to overrule one negative one, just in terms of rating. So if there's a way that doesn't, you know, if you weren't in the wrong, especially, or maybe you were in the wrong and made it right, try to, or the customer had a bad experience and maybe it wasn't your fault at all, but you made it right. Not only fix the issue, but see if they'd be kind enough to remove their review now that you have fixed the issue with them.
You brought up a lot of really great points in there, and I would second all of that. Now, the thing I want to kind of tag on to there is when you're asking for reviews. Earlier, we addressed that question from Diana about advice for automation. Automation is great. So once you know someone's service or whatever it is you have, if you're transporting from point A to point B, if you can have that email triggered after that service is complete and your job is done, shortly thereafter, that's going to be when it's most relevant in order to get that review.
So in terms of automation, yeah, I would set a certain time. Maybe it's a week after, maybe it's sooner than that, to ask the person for a review. And again, this is more advanced, but you can actually, Google Places has a specific link for your business that will, when you click on it or your customers click on it, it opens up not only the Google review platform, but it opens up the window to your business where people can leave a review. And there are other things you can do to make it more user friendly. You can shorten the review link with bit.ly, or you can have an image of Google that's clickable, but you want to make it easy for people where they can click on the link, a new window opens, and the place for your business to leave a review automatically pops up. That way you don't make them work hard to have to find your business, click on the review. So just try to make it easy for people, and obviously make the email really friendly and upbeat so that they're encouraged. It really helps my business if you had a great experience. It really helped my business out a lot if you could take a couple seconds to leave a review.
That's great. Yeah, I love your point about just making sure that you're making it easier for people, because the more steps that you have to give people, the less likely they are to leave this review for you, which is so valuable to your business.
For sure.
Let's talk about that fifth foundational tool, which is actually content. Content is what people are out there, they search for it, they consume it, and then often they share it online. This ultimately helps you to drive traffic from search. Now, I like to say this starts with content on a blog. That's really what makes it searchable. And it also does start to tie into those other channels we talked about today. Often I run into people who say, I don't know what to post on social media, or I don't know what to write about in my emails. This content can be shared in any of those channels. Now, what kind of content do you suggest our audience include on their blog?
So anything you can think of related to your business that a customer would ask. If it's a question you get asked a lot, lots of people are probably Googling it. So in the transportation industry, things you might write content about, maybe best routes, best modes of transportation, um, tips and tricks to make the shipment of goods or transportation of people a pleasant experience, advising your customers of new products or services. But really, if you're getting tons of questions routinely on the phone or in person, create a blog about that. Write what the question is, answer the question, and that's part of how you'll be naturally found online as well. If you're in a certain city, maybe, and where is the rental car return? Whatever questions are related to your business, write about those. Write a 600-word post so that it ranks highly. And it's more of a science than an art. So there are ways to optimize the content, which we can get into, so that to make your chances higher of you ranking highly when people are Googling the question. But I guess the takeaway is, if you can think about it, if you're getting the questions, a lot of other people also have those questions. So write posts on it, because then when somebody Googles that question, you're going to come up naturally in the search results.
I love that point, and that's actually something I say to a lot of different types of customers here at Constant Contact, regardless of industry. Now, how often would you suggest our audience be posting on their blog regularly?
As often as you can. I mean, I know every day might be too much, but consistency is key. If you post once a month, make it consistent every month. If it's once a week, same thing, once a day. I mean, whether you write it, whether you hire somebody to help you write it, really that natural content, again, is like, if you write it correctly, following a process, and again, not to sound like a robot repeating the same keyword phrases, but it's easy to optimize it. But however often as you can, because really there's only two ways to get traffic to a website. It's either organic, which is ranking naturally, which means writing content for the most part, or ads. So very competitive terms, maybe run some ads, but for questions people have, especially if it's specific to your city or location, take the time to write the content. And if you can't, hire somebody that can help you write the content, because the more content you publish, all of those are eventually going to get traffic, little bits here, little bits there, and eventually it snowballs, and suddenly your website's traffic can really make leaps and bounds if you take the time. I mean, I know it's time consuming to write content and then uploading it to your site, but it's either you really have to spend the time, unless you're going to spend, it's either time or money, kind of spend the time to write the content, or you've got to run ads. But those are really the best, and I think the only ways to get traffic. Social media ads help, and also social media, but there's nothing like writing. Google loves fresh content, so the more you can. I try at least a couple times a week for my site, but if it's only once a month to start, then you can ramp it up once you everything becomes easier once you start. It does get faster, both the writing and also, sometimes it takes time to actually publish it with pictures and stuff to your website. So
Awesome. Really great information. And you brought up that point about ads, which is our next slide. So great segue. This is really, I like to think of this as a bonus. Once you have those 5 foundational tools that we just talked about in place, really to amplify your efforts, add a little fuel to the fire. Like Arthur said, paid ads through Google and even Facebook and Instagram really give you the ability to reach the people you need to, drive traffic to your website, and then there's even what's called lead ads through Facebook and Instagram. Those help you to grow your email list, which kind of just continues this whole cycle and connection of things that we're talking about today. I love these tools because they allow you to really get deep into targeting people. Find the right audience that actually wants to do business with you and needs your services. Now, we've got tools that actually simplify the process of creating these ads because I know a ton of people have never created an ad before, so it does get intimidating. We have those tools along with many of these other tools we've talked about today in Constant Contact. Now, thinking about an ad, what advice do you have for someone who's just creating their first ad?
for their first ad, well, start small because you want to start small when you're first getting going with these things. But I think most importantly is think of who your target market is. Think of who you want to show that ad to. Because if you set up an ad, which is pretty easy to do, like if your audience is between 25 and 45, let's say, or whatever the age is, try to target those people and not show the ad to people that are outside of your target, because Google, whether it's Google or Facebook, they're going to spend the money. You're going to get the clicks to your website, but you want it to be traffic, web traffic that is more likely. You want people who click on that ad to be more likely to email or call you. So try to target those ads as much as you can. And Google and Facebook have really enhanced ways. You can tell Google what age group you want to show it to, what location, even by zip code. So if you're in Phoenix and you don't operate in, other areas of Arizona, don't show the ad. I mean, it depends on your business. Facebook also, if you're a runner and you subscribe to the running groups, it's no secret you're seeing ads for things like running shoes, Nike, Adidas. So with Facebook, it's really neat. It's almost even more enhanced targeting than Google because you can target people based on their likes. So think of things that your customers also might like other than your business. Now, for some businesses, it's hard. If you're an electrician, everybody needs electrical services, and so it does get tricky with certain businesses that are really general for services that kind of everybody uses. But if you're in a certain business, even transportation, I'm sure there are probably other businesses that your customers are likely to subscribe to on Facebook. So you can target only those people, which is great. And you start building a list. And so really, I guess, Google, Facebook, they're going to spend the money, they're going to get you the clicks, but the key is to get clicks of people that are more likely to email you or call you about your services, if that makes
So many
sense.
great tips in there. And I would like to just kind of second the start small thing because with anything to do in marketing, as you do more ads, as you put more content out there, send more emails, you start to get all of this data and you start to learn what your customers or your prospects and your audience is responding to. And especially with ads, because you're putting money out there, it gives you the ability to start to think about maybe this headline wasn't right or the image wasn't correct, or maybe I just didn't get my targeting correct. So really great tips in there. Thanks, Arthur.
Definitely start the ads, even if it's a small budget, because the other things ads do is you're going to start accumulating data on the people that clicked on those ads. You'll start to, and don't just run one ad, run 3 very similar ads. You'll start to see which one does best. So even if it's a $3, $5 a day budget, whatever it is, at least start it, because then that data is so valuable, because then you can target future ads based on the data that you've received, if that makes sense. So
Definitely.
start it so you get the data.
Awesome. So I just want to put those 5 foundational tools that we were talking about on the screen here. And again, I would suggest that you make sure you have those in place because they make that good foundation for when you are ready to take that next step and create those ads. Now, I know also that this can feel like a lot for business owners to take on. So what other advice do you have for our audience today on kind of managing and accomplishing all of this?
So again, it depends what level everybody is at, but baby steps with everything. But take the time to do the fundamentals. A lot of this is very easy to set up, and much of it is free. A Google business listing, you really need that. Take the time to set it up. There are fields in there to put a business description. Definitely fill that out. It's not long. I think it limits you to 800 characters, but you'd be surprised how many businesses don't take the 5 or 10 minutes to fill it out. If the fields are there, fill them out. Also, with the social media, every platform's a little different, but again, with time, with some practice, you're not going to break anything. So at least take the time to set these fundamentals up. And once you spend some time getting familiar with them, the process gets a lot easier down the road. Um, Also, again, I reiterate, take the time to write content or hire somebody to do it, but somebody needs to be writing content because, again, either doing that or running ads is the only way to get people to your website. If you have a WordPress site, there are free SEO tools that you can install, Yoast SEO. Really, so write the content naturally, but then there's a specific list of things you need to do to give you the best chances of ranking highly on Google. And you just put the content in some of these programs and it tells you what you need to do. The keyword phrase you're targeting might be used too much or it's not used enough. So I know, especially if somebody's kind of new to all this, it can seem overwhelming, but it really does get a lot easier once you start logging into the tool and upload images to Google Business. A lot of it's really easy, but I realize for someone not familiar with all the different tools, everyone is different. So they take some time to get used to, but again, they're free and they'll really help your business if you take some time out of your busy week to engage with these social media platforms and also the Google tools. Google Analytics is also free. It measures your traffic to your website, and really every business should have that installed because that way you can say, okay, I got X number of people to my site last month. This month I had this number of people. So install these tools, do it now. Don't wait because, again, you want to accumulate the data and you don't know where you want to go until you know where you are now. So, and that's how you should measure the success of your marketing program. How much traffic did I have 3 months ago and how much do I have this month?
Definitely a great point there about the data because the data is really what fuels your marketing moving forward to improve your results. So awesome. Well, let's go ahead and start to recap how this all comes together and give everyone a few action items to think about as we leave the webinar today and start to get into any questions you have. By the way, if you have questions, use the little question mark icon on the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar dashboard. So here's the first one is create a mobile responsive website, and it should be created as a resource for potential and even current customers. And it goes back to the content conversation that Arthur and I have, but really start to answer the questions that people have about your business or the services you offer. On that website, it's a good idea to capture email addresses from your website visitors. Ideally, we typically suggest using a pop-up, or in our website editor, it's called a pop-over, because that gives you the ability to catch people's attention after they've been on your website a certain amount of time, or even if they go to actually close out, it'll pop up and catch their attention visually. Next up is email marketing, and that's where you can start to send those promotional and those other emails or combine them together that includes both types of information. Don't just sell all of the time. Otherwise, like Arthur said, people may just start unsubscribing because, you're sending too much promotions and that's not really what they need. Ultimately, the combination of those pieces of content will help you to stay top of mind with your subscribers and start to build relationships over time that hopefully keep people coming back again and again. And then on social media, don't forget to interact and engage there. You can create posts to generate awareness and also drive action, but also pay attention to engagement that you're getting, respond and interact with people, and also to any questions or complaints that you're getting there. Make sure you're responding to those because it is a public forum. Next up is listings and review sites. These should be playing a role in your strategy as well. Arthur mentioned anything that's pertinent to your specific type of business or location. Facebook, Google, My Business, and then Yelp are good places to start. And over time, make sure you're keeping that information updated and also engage with those reviews to build trust. You can say thank you and provide any assistance, especially with those negative ones, because people may see that over time. And if you're helpful, present, and engaging, it just really shows other people that you care. Last but not least is the content. This is, again, what really helps you to get found online. This allows you to create helpful content for your audience and the questions that people have. And for this, you can start with a blog on your website. And then to add a little fuel to the fire, and Arthur talked about this a bit as well, is don't forget about the power of paid ads to amplify your efforts after you've got that foundation in place. All of them, whether you want to run Google ads or even social media ads, you can accomplish a variety of things, driving traffic to your site, growing your email list with lead ads. So much you can do. Arthur, was there maybe any other points that we didn't get to today, or maybe something you want to reiterate for the audience?
Um, Really just again hammering home the content, but also Google has placed a much higher weight with Google Business. So not only you want to be interacting with that profile, you want to be adding photos to that profile and not stock photos. And on the back end, when you log in, you can see how many people have viewed the photos you've added. And a lot of people, some people don't add an address for Google Business. Maybe they're working from home for a lot of reasons, but even if you have to get a PO box, make sure you put an address in Google Business, because that's how your business shows up. If somebody types in freight services near me, you'll show up if you have an address in that area where they're searching. So I guess make sure you put an address, and Google Business has just become, start posting there as well. It's just become much more, Google's placed a really higher priority. Your search will be elevated if you interact more with Google Business, because Google has put a bigger weight on that in the last year or two.
That is one of my favorite tools since whenever it was launched, I want to say a couple of years ago, but since then it's like become so important in pretty much everything we talk about here in webinars that involves online marketing. So great point. Now, while everyone is typing in any final questions, I do want to let you all know that we at Constant Contact are here to help. Be sure to check out our guide, Making Sense of Online Marketing for Transportation Services. It goes in along with the webinar we talked about today, and it dives into the topics we touched on in a lot more detail. So Arthur earlier was talking about the 4 or 5 pages, I forget the number, of pages you want to have on your website. Well, that guide outlines all of that, what pages you need as a reminder, and then also the questions you want to be answering on those pages, which is really great information. And Arthur was so kind as to help us to create that PDF last year. So we'll share that link in the chat window. And the other thing I want to mention is that Constant Contact has so many of the tools, like I kind of briefly mentioned it, but they're really designed to help you with your small business. We have websites, online stores, email, and social media tools to help you all along the way. So if you don't already have an account, you can sign up for a free trial. Just go to constantcontact.com, or again, we'll be sharing the link in the chat window as well. Rachel is helping us with that. Thanks, Rachel. Now, Arthur, I know you also had an offer you want to share with the audience, so I'll let you share a little bit of information on that with us.
I do. I'd love to offer a free training session to any business that needs it. If you need a critique of your website, or you have general questions, or just on any of the platforms, I'll be happy to spend time helping you with that. So just sign up via the link on my site, and then we can schedule a time to chat, and I'll be happy to answer any and all marketing questions you have. I've been doing this a long time, um, so yeah, just let me know, and I'm always happy to help.
Well, you've shared so much information with us today. I can imagine that anybody who would take advantage of your offer is going to get so much more. And I love that you're doing it really a personalized one-on-one conversation that really gets to their specific business and their needs. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's see. Looks like we don't really have a whole lot of questions that have come in. Go ahead and type those in. If you have any questions for Arthur, again, he's a wealth of knowledge, so let's use him to our advantage while we have a few minutes left in the webinar today. While you're doing that, just a few things. When you close out of the webinar today or when we end it, there's going to be a survey that pops up on the screen, and we'd really love for you to take 1 or 2 minutes, that's all you need, and tell us what you thought of the webinar. Maybe while everyone is sending in any of those questions, Arthur, maybe do you want to talk about like really where do you go to get started with the Google My Business tool? Do you just type that into Google, or what
You
information do you
do. You
have?
can just type in either Google it, just Google the words Google My Business, or go, I think it's google.com/business. You'll want to be logged in with the Gmail account that you use to manage all your Google accounts, and then it should automatically log you in. And then there are different tabs you can click on. I believe the info tab is where you can enter in a description of your business. There are drop-down menus where you can select all the services you offer, places to add photos, and that's also where you'll respond to your Google reviews.
Awesome. And you mentioned earlier about using the post feature, which is, kind of a little bit something extra that Google My Business offers. With that, how often would you suggest using or posting on Google My Business?
Especially when you've got something new and exciting going on with your company. If you're offering a new service, just something that's going to be engaging for your audience, because sometimes those posts will actually show up when people Google your business. There'll be a link to the post below your business profile.
Awesome. Good to know there. Still waiting for some more questions to come in here. We'll hang on for just another couple of minutes, but if there's anything else you maybe want to add or share with us in terms of getting started or using all of this stuff effectively, let us know.
Okay, sure. I just can't stress, a lot of businesses overlook the importance of creating content. So content creation is key, and then making it interesting on your website so that people don't get to your website and leave it right away. So break up the content with images, charts. Um,
Great point. And I think that goes back to the point we were talking about earlier where, a lot of people in the world, especially in today's world, are very visual, and you don't want to have content overwhelm them on your site. So Narkisha, I hope I said your name correctly, asks, are there any review sites or social media sites you suggest targeting in the transportation industry that are different from the ones we previously mentioned?
um, Sometimes there are city-specific review sites, so maybe some of those. It just depends on what industry you're in. I don't think there's a specific one that covers all of the different companies in transportation, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Awesome. Still waiting to see if any more come in here. And I guess one other popular question we get a lot, or people not really actually even knowing what to ask is, we're talking about setting up these foundational elements and all these different pieces. How do you really know what's working for your business? Like, what are some of the metrics and things to pay attention to? I'm going to guess based off your answer and, what we were talking about previously is maybe like website traffic and things like that. But what else?
So Google Analytics, how much traffic are you getting? And at the end of the day, we don't care about the data and the traffic. We care how many calls and emails we're getting of people that want to book our services. But the more people visiting your website, the more calls and emails you're going to get. Um, so that's why we care about the traffic, because it leads to more people calling and emailing, which will lead to increased revenue.
It's a really great point and thing to think about there. All right, we'll give everybody just one more minute to answer any or ask any final questions you want today. Arthur, I do just want to share with you, thank you so much for being here, attending our webinar and providing all this great information to our audience. So,
Of course. Thank you for having me.
yeah, so it looks like Sally just put in a question. Our company is geared toward commercial customers. How would you design content differently for the commercial audience? That's a great question.
So same thing. I'm sorry, what kind of company did she say?
They're
Or
just geared toward commercial customers. So
oh,
how would you
B2C.
design content differently
Same
for that
thing.
audience?
Everybody is searching for companies somehow. So there are terms that those people are typing in to look for businesses like yours. Um, so think about what somebody would type in to reach your. Think about what somebody would type in when they're looking for a business like yours. There are keyword tools out there, but even Google auto suggest when you start typing in something to Google, it starts listing automatically the most popular things people are typing in. So write content on that. It doesn't necessarily have to be blogs. It can be a landing page where you're targeting that keyword and describing how your company is the best at providing that service. But it
Awesome.
definitely is more of a science than art. You want to make sure your posts are optimized to give you the highest chances of ranking highly.
Awesome.
But
So Sally just added they're in the moving and logistics industry.
So, right. So everybody is Googling terms to look for businesses like yours. Think of what those terms are. I'll be happy to spend time with you, but they're keyword tools you can use that will tell you what people are typing into Google to look for businesses like yours. And then you want to target those with optimized content. So that way people Google the term, you've written about that term or phrase, and people, then that'll cause you to rank highly, and then more people will click on your site. I want to add, it's not about creating one blog or landing page that's going to bring in thousands of hits. It's about creating, just like people consume their news from different sources, people are typing in all kinds of different keywords to reach businesses. So you want to write content, you want every page to target a certain keyword phrase. So it depends what industry you're in, but you want to think of anything and everything people could Google to reach your business, write content on that so that it ranks, and then you'll start getting traffic and eventually calls and emails from all of those terms.
Great. And I guess a follow-up question, this one's more from me, but it's also my interactions with people here at Constant Contact all the time, as well as some misconceptions, is like, what I guess is the voice of how you would write content versus for more of a B2B or a commercial customer? Would you take a different approach in how you're writing it as more professional versus just like a little bit more casual? What's your advice there?
So they're blogs and they're landing pages. Blogs are meant to be really interesting and provide helpful information to people. Landing pages, on the other hand, are more like a services page. For instance, like a land, both should be optimized for SEO, but for commercial customers, really talk about things that are going to benefit them, but also follow the checklist of things you need to do to rank highly on Google. Some of those things is using the keyword phrase or phrases you're targeting a certain number of times. You don't want to use them too little because then Google's algorithm doesn't know that what the page is about. You don't want to use them too much because that's keyword stuffing. Google doesn't want people writing 800-word posts where every other word is Nike shoes, and suddenly now you're outranking Nike. So write about things that will be helpful for your customers or prospects, but also make sure you're following the checklist on how to optimize it to rank highly. For if you write about nothing, you'll rank for nothing. So definitely target. It can be a question, it can be a keyword phrase, but target that phrase and write content on it that's optimized, and then you'll start ranking on page 1, page 2, and then repeat the process for every term you think. As far as the style, nobody knows your business better than you do. So as far as what you write about, you'll be better at that. Than every business is different. So, but as far as optimization, it's following a checklist, putting the keyword phrase in, obviously make the post as interesting as you can to your audience, but make sure you're targeting those keyword phrases so that you rank highly.
Awesome. Well, I see we are right at the top of the hour, and it looks like we got to all of those questions. So I want to thank you again for being here, and I want to thank you in the audience for attending our webinar today. Again, when I close out here in just a moment, if you could take just a minute or two to complete the 2 questions that are on the screen. It shouldn't take more than a minute or 2. So thank you again, and look for the recording by the end of today in your inbox. Thanks again. Bye now.
Thank you, everyone.